YouTube, what's going on, man? It's your boy Groovy.
It's your girl Mani.
We are back with another vid, man. In today's video, we are reacting to the infamous scene that took Martin off air for good. Martin, another classic TV show, man. What you got to say about this? You grew up watching Martin?
Show. Yeah, definitely. It's funny. He's a good character in the show. She as well. What's her name again?
Gina.
What's her real? You know her real name?
Nah.
Well, I guess we'll find out in this video. But them two, inseparable, and they were hilarious together. Yeah. They played their parts well, well.
Both of them played their parts.
Didn't people at one point think they were actually dating?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, and the crazy thing is, like, if you think of Martin, you think of Gina.
Exactly.
If you think of Gina, you think of Martin. So in real life, that would feel kind of weird as far as like.
Oh, when you're in an actual
relationship, yeah, it's like, bro, they're gonna forever be connected to each other though from this show, cause this is a legendary show right here, y'all. This show had you laughing from when it first come on to when it ends. Classic show, and this was before we was even born. Martin will always be a classic, man. So yeah, man. So before we hop into this video, like the video, show us some love, comment down below any videos y'all want us to react to next, and last but not least, subscribe. And we ain't gonna waste no more of y'all time. Let's hop straight into this video.
Cause it's gonna haunt your every waking moment.
Shanae.
Oh my goodness. If it isn't Little Miss Attitude.
That's when the person who was producing Martin decided to fire me.
Damn.
While I was actually in the hospital itself.
What really happened behind the scenes of the hit TV show Martin? Was it just one shocking scene, or were there bigger problems among the cast that led to the show ending?
Let's heal. Let's keep in touch. Let's not let all this time go by.
Did the feud between Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell ruin everything? Let's dive into the story behind this feud between Martin Lawrence.
Tisha Campbell. Yeah. What is that hairstyle?
I didn't know what you was about to say.
Nah, bruh. Who let her go outside like that, dude?
She wanted to go outside like that. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have faded it a little bit more on the side.
Oh, yeah. Like
you know what I'm saying?
So
like, it's all jokes, y'all. It's all jokes. But I just wanted to say that, but...
Lawrence and Tisha Campbell ruin everything?
Tisha Campbell.
Let's dive into the story behind the scene that ended Martin.
What's up? What's up?
What's up,
The show Martin.
Guess who?
It's one of those classic TV sitcoms from the 1990s that people still love today. The show was about Martin Payne, played by Martin Lawrence, who was a radio DJ and later became a TV host. He had a big personality, and his jokes and energy made the show super fun to watch. The show was set in Detroit and followed Martin's life with his girlfriend Gina, his best friends Tommy and Cole, and Gina's best friend, Pam. The group often got into funny situations that made viewers laugh nonstop. Martin also played other characters on the show, like the sassy Shanae.
That's when the person who was producing Martin decided to fire me while I was actually in the hospital itself.
And the old school Jerome, which showed off his talent for comedy.
Look here, man. Don't look at me like that. I didn't shoot the sheriff.
Martin ran for 5 seasons and was very popular because it was relatable and full of hilarious moments. It showed friendships, relationships, and everyday struggles in a lighthearted way. Having a show with his own name for the title was a massive achievement for Martin Lawrence, and he continued to rise from there.
Cause it's gonna haunt your every waking moment.
However, all that success was not entirely good for the rising star, as it began to go to his head and damage his relationships with other members of the cast.
No.
When speaking on TV One TV, Tisha explained the difficult situation and said, that distance started being created, between the two, and the network has a lot to do with that as well. They take care of the star, and then everybody else is a piece of S. That's just how it goes down.
Said, Mama used to say, take your time, young man.
When you watch a TV show, it's easy to think the actors get along just like their characters do. But sometimes what happens behind the scenes is very different from what you see on the screen. This was true for the show Martin, where the romance between Martin and Gina made fans believe they had a great bond. However, off-screen, a very different story was happening. At first, everything seemed fine, but during the 5th and final season, something odd caught fans' attention. Tisha Campbell, who played Gina, wasn't in many scenes with Martin Lawrence, who played Martin. The only time they appeared together in that season was during the series finale, and even then, they were never in the same room. Instead, they spoke to each other over the phone using a split screen. The show ended in May 1997, but people soon learned that Tisha had left the set months before the final episodes were filmed.
Wow.
She made it clear she wasn't coming back.
Love you.
Fans started asking questions. Why did she leave? What went wrong? Then shocking news came out. Tisha filed a lawsuit in 1997 against Martin Lawrence, accusing him of sexual assault, battery, and abuse. This news upset many fans who wanted to know more. While details of the lawsuit weren't fully clear at the time, the tension between the two stars was undeniable. The lawsuit revealed that the problems had been happening for years, starting all the way back in the first season. Tisha claimed that Martin repeatedly asked her out on dates, but she always said no. By the second season, she said Martin's behavior had become more erratic. According to her, he would have angry outbursts, yell at the crew, and even threaten to fire people. By the third season, things reportedly got worse. Tisha alleged that Martin humiliated her on set and subjected her to abuse so severe that she ended up in the hospital from the stress. The lawsuit claimed this pattern of behavior continued to escalate, and by the 5th season, it had become unbearable.
Martin, unfortunately, show business at a certain point in his life got the best of him. And when that happens, you see it happening, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Tisha asked the show's writers not to include scenes where Gina and Martin had to share a bed, but those scenes kept being written. She also claimed that Martin ignored boundaries during filming, inappropriately touching her and using his tongue during kiss scenes without her consent. The final straw came when Martin allegedly had a major outburst on set, terrifying everyone, especially Tisha. That's when she told the producers she was done and wouldn't return.
Between the two, and the network has a lot to do with that as well. They take care of the star, then everybody else is a piece of shit. That's just how it goes down, and you embrace being a piece of shit.
Years later, in a 2019 interview, Reginald Ballard, who played Brewman on Martin, talked about what he saw behind the scenes. He shared that the tension between Martin and Tisha had gotten so bad that they couldn't even be at the Universal Studios lot at the same time. Ballard admitted he didn't know all the details because he kept to himself and didn't hang out with the cast outside of filming. Still, he said the whole situation was strange and hard to understand.
I seen the picture with you two together. Was that the first time y'all seen each other in years?
Absolutely. And literally 20-something years. Literally.
But the drama didn't end there. It turns out that Martin also had issues with his male co-stars. To shed light on this, Carl Payne, known for his role as Cole on the show,
Hey, Tommy, man, why don't you pass the brother one of them tater skins, bro?
spoke out about the tension between him and Martin in a revealing interview. At first, everything seemed fine between them, but over time, Carl said Martin started treating him poorly. He didn't go into too much detail, but made it clear that things weren't good behind the scenes. Carl believed Martin might have been going through personal struggles at the time, which could have explained his behavior. Despite the issues, Carl stayed professional, only standing up for himself when he felt disrespected or threatened. Carl compared working on the show to being in a family. Families fight sometimes, but they also share great moments. He admitted that while they had their conflicts, he still enjoyed much of the experience on set. But he made it clear he didn't have a problem with Martin. According to Carl, all the negativity came from Martin's side. The tension lasted throughout the show's run, but they didn't address it until years later. Just before filming Martin the Reunion, the two finally talked things out. It was a long time coming, but they were able to put the past behind them. Even though fans loved the chemistry of the cast, it's clear that not everything was smooth behind the scenes.
That's crazy.
Still, it's nice to know Carl and Martin were able to move forward after all those years. But Carl is not the only co-star that has had issues with Martin. Another person who is reportedly on the list is Garrett Morris. Garrett, who played Stan Winters, was part of the series in its early days and became a fan favorite. But after the second season, he disappeared as a regular character, leaving fans wondering what happened. The story behind his departure is both shocking and heartbreaking.
Those people, Martin, that's not coming from you. That's woman talk.
Garrett Morris is a talented actor with a long career. Before joining Martin in 1992, he had already built a solid reputation in Hollywood. However, Garrett was battling personal struggles, including addiction, even while working on the show. Things took a tragic turn toward the end of the second season. One day, as Garrett was walking to his parked car in Los Angeles, he was attacked by two men. Since Garrett is a first-degree black belt, he fought back and managed to kick one of the attackers. Unfortunately, this made the man angry, and he pulled out a gun. Garrett was shot in the chest and arm. He was rushed to the hospital where he fell into a coma.
And he had a gun like that. And I said, excuse me, and he shoots me and goes in there, messes up my intestines. I had to have a colostomy for like 8 months.
Damn. Garrett had to go through several surgeries to survive. During his recovery, he got the script for the show and noticed that his character was written out.
That's when the person who was producing Martin decided to fire me while I was actually in the hospital itself.
The storyline had Stan selling the radio station and leaving town. Garrett filmed a scene from his hospital bed to explain his character's exit. He later found out that this was the show's way of firing him. Garrett said he asked if he was being let go, and the answer was yes. Even after leaving the hospital, Garrett faced more health problems. One of his gunshot wounds got infected, and he had to go through more surgeries. He wore a colostomy bag for 8 months and spent a year in a wheelchair. It was a tough time, and Garrett fell into a deep depression. However, he eventually decided to focus on what made him happy and tried to move on. Garrett did return for one episode in season 3, where his character opened a restaurant with Martin. After that, Stan was never seen again. Garrett later spoke about his firing in an interview, saying he believed Martin Lawrence, who was a co-executive producer of the show, was the one responsible for letting him go.
Damn.
Garrett even said Martin spread stories about visiting him in the hospital and crying by his bedside, which Garrett claims never happened. Back in the 90s, reaching 100 episodes was a big deal for TV shows. It meant the show was a hit and could make money for years through reruns. When Seinfeld hit 100 episodes in 1995, NBC threw a fancy party for the cast and crew. But when Fox's show, Martin, reached the same milestone in 1996, the celebration was underwhelming. Instead of a party, the cast received gift baskets. This upset Martin Lawrence, the show's creator and star.
Crazy.
Tashina Arnold shared the story later. She remembered how disappointed Lawrence was when he saw the baskets.
Damn.
She said he stopped everything, walked off the set, and had a serious talk with Fox. After that, the cast received better gifts. Arnold laughed about it, but it was clear they all felt unappreciated.
Facts.
Even though the 100th episode celebration wasn't great, fans were more upset about how Martin ended. The show, loved by millions, came to a sudden stop after 5 seasons because of personal issues between Martin Lawrence and Tisha Campbell, who played Gina, his on-screen girlfriend. Campbell filed a lawsuit against Lawrence, accusing him of harassment. This caused tension, and the show couldn't continue. Over time, though, Lawrence and Campbell made peace. In an interview, Campbell talked about how they worked hard to forgive each other. This reunion is about celebrating what we did and how we've grown, she said. Lawrence also said he has nothing but love for Campbell. Fans have mixed feelings about the situation. Some blame Lawrence for the problems on set. Others think both Lawrence and Campbell made mistakes. One fan commented online saying, "They were young and made bad choices. It's a shame the show ended like that. Martin was groundbreaking and should have lasted 10 seasons, not 5.
Right.
When Campbell shared a nostalgic video on Instagram, tagging her former co-stars, fans reacted strongly. Some blamed her for the show's cancellation, with comments like, "You're the reason the show ended." Others appreciated the memory and thanked her for sharing. One fan wrote, So much history. Love it. While Martin Lawrence, on the other hand, had a different opinion. He opened up about why his popular Fox series ended. When asked, he said, "It was just time to end." He hinted at issues during that time but didn't go into details. The interviewer brought up Tisha Campbell's lawsuit, and Lawrence admitted it was part of the conversation. However, he made it clear that his problems with Campbell weren't why the show ended. Lawrence explained that it was his decision to leave. "People think it got canceled, but that's not true. I chose to end it," he said. It was a career choice, not drama, that closed the show. Let's talk about some interesting and less-known facts about the TV show Martin and the people behind it. Did you know that Tisha Campbell and Tichina Arnold, who played Gina and Pam, were best friends long before the show started? Their friendship goes way back to when they were just 12 years old. They met while auditioning for acting roles in New York City and clicked instantly. Instead of seeing each other as rivals, they always cheered each other on. Tisha once told Tamron Hall, "We always rooted for one another, even when we were in direct competition." Tichina explained why their bond was so special, saying, "It was a natural connection. I believe God brings people together, and that's how it was with me and Tisha." When they were 16, both of them landed roles as two of the three singers in the musical Little Shop of Horrors. Working together on the project made their friendship even stronger. So by the time Martin Lawrence was creating Martin in 1992, Tisha and Tichina were already best friends and even roommates. It was no surprise that both of them got roles on the show. The show Martin may have had a script, but Martin Lawrence didn't always stick to it. Tichina Arnold shared in an interview with BuzzFeed that Martin often ignored the script and made up his own lines during filming. She said, "The first time he went off script, we knew that's how it was going to be for the rest of the show. His improvisation made the show funnier and more unique." Martin's unscripted moments were so funny that it was hard for the other cast members to stay in character. They would try not to laugh, but most of the time, they couldn't hold it in. The cast even turned it into a game to see who would laugh first. Thomas McCall Ford, who played Tommy, often lost the challenge because Martin's antics were just too hilarious. With well over 100 episodes in the long run of Martin, the show produced plenty of memorable moments and satisfying stories. When asked by BuzzFeed what his all-time favorite episode was, Martin Lawrence replied, "My favorite was probably the episode I wrote, called Guard Your Grill. It's the episode with boxer Tommy Hearns, and my head was swollen like a grapefruit. Because I got beaten up so bad. That probably was my best episode because I understand it so much." What the comedian meant by understanding the premise was that he literally trained as a boxer when he was a teen. To stay off the dangerous streets of his neighborhood, Lawrence honed his technique at the Sugar Ray Leonard Boxing Center and got so good at the craft that he won an AAU championship at 15 years old. The major strength of the young boxer was his movement, but it wasn't enough to dodge a strike that gave him a nasty black eye. Once Lawrence's mom saw the damage, his boxing career was over.
By the way, that show had like some of the funniest catchphrases.
It did.
That we now have part of our vernacular.
Is that
I
crazy?
still say, talk to the hand because the face don't want to hear it.
Right. Nobody remembers that it actually came from us.
Now, the show Martin is remembered for many things. The funny characters, the hilarious storylines, and most of all, the unforgettable catchphrases. These phrases weren't just funny, they became part of everyday conversation, especially among young fans. Some of the show's lines are still used today, proving just how much of an impact Martin had on pop culture. One of the most famous catchphrases from the show is, "Talk to the hand," a sassy way of saying, "I don't want to hear it." Then there's "You Go Girl," which became a way to cheer someone on and show support. Another favorite was "Get to Steppin'," which Martin would say when he wanted someone to leave. These lines were so catchy that fans couldn't help but repeat them. Even years later, Martin Lawrence said in an interview that people still shout catchphrases from the show at him. On The Tonight Show, he told Jimmy Fallon that the phrases he hears the most are, "What's up?" and "You go, boy." A spin on "You go, girl." "What's up?" became so popular that it appeared in Budweiser commercials and even in the parody movie Scary Movie. It's clear these lines stuck with people.
It's the D-O-double-G, cause that be me.
The show wasn't just about Martin's catchphrases. It also gave rising stars in comedy and music a chance to shine. For example, rapper Snoop Dogg made his first ever TV appearance on Martin. Even though Snoop admitted he was a little nervous, he nailed his role by just being himself. Martin Lawrence created a space where guest stars didn't have to act differently or pretend. They could relax and have fun. Snoop later said in an interview that he appreciated how Martin gave artists a chance to show their real personalities. Another star who got a boost from Martin was Tracy Morgan. Before he became a household name on Saturday Night Live, Morgan appeared on Martin as Hustle Man, a funny character known for selling random stuff.
That was him. That's
Martin
crazy.
Lawrence saw Tracy's potential and gave him a shot. It paid off, as Tracy was a natural on set, making everyone laugh with his quick thinking and great delivery. In a heartfelt interview, Tracy Morgan spoke about how much the opportunity meant to him. He said, "Martin let me eat at his table." He explained that Martin didn't put him on the show just because they were friends. He did it because he believed Tracy was funny. That chance changed Tracy's life and career forever, and he remains grateful to Martin for giving him a start.
Jackie Chan!
Jackie Chan.
Did you know Jackie Chan made a funny cameo on the show Martin back in 1996? If you're scratching your head, wondering why an international action star would pop up in a sitcom, you're not alone. Jackie played himself as the unexpected boyfriend of Shenenny, Martin Lawrence's wild and over-the-top character. It was a funny, random moment in TV history, but there was a bigger story behind it. Around the same time, Martin Lawrence was offered a role in Rush Hour. Yep, the buddy cop comedy that made Chris Tucker a household name almost starred Lawrence instead. When talking to Jimmy Fallon, Martin joked that he turned it down because they didn't have enough money for me. Chris Tucker later confirmed in an interview that the studio was considering other actors like Lawrence and Wesley Snipes before giving him the role. But imagine if Martin Lawrence had taken the part. It would have been a completely different movie. Some people wonder if Jackie Chan's appearance on Martin was meant to get Martin Lawrence excited about working together. If that was the case, it didn't work, and Jackie ended up doing the cameo for nothing. Thankfully, it was still a funny and memorable episode. While Martin was a huge hit, Martin Lawrence was having a hard time behind the scenes. Fame can be tough, and the pressure was getting to him. To cope, Martin started using marijuana, but instead of helping, it made things worse. In May 1996, things hit a low point when police found Martin yelling and swearing in the middle of a busy street while carrying a gun. He later admitted in an interview, "I was high that day. I don't know how I got into the street, but running across it while high doesn't mix. The cops had every right to stop me." Luckily, no one was hurt, and the situation ended peacefully. However, that wasn't his only brush with the law. Later that year, Martin was caught trying to take a gun onto a plane in his carry-on bag. Then in 1997, he got probation for hitting someone in a nightclub. To make things worse, his personal life was also falling apart. During his divorce, Martin's ex-wife accused him of saying terrible things to her. It was a tough time for the comedian, even though he was at the height of his career. As Martin Lawrence's personal struggles continued, things on the set of Martin were also going downhill. By season 5, it was clear the show was wrapping up. In one episode near the end of the series, the focus wasn't even on Martin, but on Pam, played by Tisha Arnold. The episode, titled "Going for Mine," showed Pam losing her job, but then landing an exciting new one at a record label. This episode was meant to test the waters for a possible spin-off starring Pam. Fox thought Pam could carry her own show, and fans loved her sassy and strong personality. Tisha Arnold later explained in an interview that the network and Martin were trying to highlight her singing and other talents. "It was a great opportunity," she said, "but it didn't happen. Everything worked out the way it was supposed to."
Great video right there. What you gotta say?
That was a very good, detailed video. Gave a lot of information. Now, I had no idea that there was tension going on between Martin and Gina. Yeah. Because watching the show, you know, as an outsider just looking in, it seemed like all good vibes, literally. Like, I didn't know he had tension with the other guy. What was his name? Cole on the show. So, this is a lot of news, fresh news to me.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like you said, like on the show, the chemistry's there. I did not know behind the scenes they was going through all of this. Damn, that's crazy. The allegations on Martin.
Very.
That's crazy. I did not know Martin was acting like that behind the scenes.
Sexual harassment.
Yeah.
And abuse.
And it seemed like he got too big-headed with the role.
Mm-hmm.
You know, obviously he was the main character on the show, and you know he got to do certain things. And it looked like he just took too much control. You know what I'm saying? And then he started treating others, you know, weird and stuff like that. And you know, once you act like that, you know, stuff goes downhill. Great legendary show. Things happen behind the scenes that we don't know. You know.
Right.
They created a lot of memories, you know, stuff that we could look back and see. But yeah, it's crazy. If y'all like that reaction, hit the like button, comment down below any videos y'all want us to react to next. And last but not least, subscribe. And without further ado, we will catch y'all in the next one.